Back in January, they were standing on the same side of the net as doubles partners, sharing a locker room, splitting water bottles courtside, and celebrating a sensational semi-final run in Auckland after taking down Venus Williams and Alina Svitolina in one of the most talked-about generational upsets of the early season. Months later, Alexandra Eala and Iva Jovic walk onto the red clay of Roland Garros, not as allies, but as fierce first-round opponents. What makes this particular draw genuinely shocking isn't just the quality of the matchup, but the deep intimacy each player brings into it. They know each other's games from the inside out, having stood just 3 feet apart at the net and communicated completely without words, and now they have to pretend none of that history matters. This match is far more complicated than the ranking gap suggests, because while the seedings look decisive on paper, with Jovic sitting at world number 17, fresh off a season featuring an Australian Open quarterfinal where she annihilated Julia Putinese 6-0, 6-1, alongside deep runs in Charleston, Madrid, and Rome where she pushed Coco Gauff to 3 sets and held an actual match point. Eala enters at number 38, carrying the kind of inconsistency that makes prediction feel irresponsible after a recent first-round exit in Strasbourg. Yet, this context is exactly why this clash could produce the first genuine shocker of the women's draw, because Grand Slam tennis is never just about rankings, it's about timing, psychology, what each player needs from this specific moment, and the strange alchemy of former partners meeting in combat. Jovic's 2026 trajectory has been extraordinary, announced to the global audience by becoming the youngest American to reach the Melbourne quarterfinals since Venus Williams in 1998 after stunning world number 8 Jasmine Paolini, backed by a WTA title in Guadalajara last September and a final in Hobart this January. However, her clay court record tells a more uneven story once you look past Rome. Her loss to Leylah Fernandez in Madrid exposed that when her aggressive first-strike game is neutralized by an opponent willing to extend rallies and vary pace, she becomes uncertain in longer exchanges. And her 71.9% service game win rate is significantly propped up by her hard-court dominance rather than this slow clay surface that introduces just enough doubt to disrupt her timing. Furthermore, the psychological residue of her Rome match against Gauff lingers, where blowing a match point at 5-3 in the second set triggered a visible shift in body language, a cratered first serve percentage, and a physically disruptive hand cut from a dirt fall, proving that closing out top 5 opponents requires a completely different psychological composition than reaching them. On the other side of the net stands Eala, who turned 21 yesterday on the 23rd of May, entering Roland Garros for only her second main draw appearance with a categorically different mindset than her first-round loss to Emiliana Arango 12 months ago. This has been a season of historic firsts for Eala, highlighted by a Dubai quarterfinal in February where she beat Sarana Circe to push deep into a WTA 1000, and a career-high ranking of 29 in March that made her the highest-ranked Filipino tennis player in history, male or female. Her clay court run, where she blanked Magdalena Fix 6-0 in the first set and defeated Wang Senu to reach the third round of a clay WTA 1000 for the first time, proves she can compete on this surface against quality opposition before her clinical exit against world number 2 Raikina. While her inconsistency is real, marked by a 6-6, 2 loss to Machova in Miami, an early exit in Stuttgart, and a first-round defeat to Oalova in Strasbourg just days ago, Eala at her best is a brilliant left-handed shotmaker with exceptional disguise, timing, and angle creation, making the doubles partnership the ultimate critical variable here. Having practiced, strategized, and shared a bench together in Auckland, Eala knows Jovic's tendencies on an almost physiological level. She knows how she breathes before big points, where her confidence sits, her default stress patterns, her habit of stepping inside the baseline to take the ball on the rise, and how the clay bounce disrupts her hard-court calibrated forehand. This mutual knowledge heavily favors the underdog, as Eala won't waste any games figuring out patterns, utilizing her natural lefty advantages to swing serves uncomfortably into the body or wide to the ad-court, amplifying her heavy topspin on this surface to force Jovic out of her clean-hitting rhythm. The physical conditions of Roland Garros will heavily dictate this battle. The clay is slower than Madrid and lower bouncing than Rome, relentlessly rewarding tactical patience over pure aggression, and since both players possess exactly one match of tournament experience here, Jovic winning 1 round last year before falling to Raikina, and Eala losing her sole appearance, they are essentially decoding the surface in real time. Eala, however, specifically trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca to develop her clay court decision-making, which might give her more accessible tactical adjustments under intense Grand Slam pressure compared to Joic, who built her clay comfort purely through competitive matches. The crowd factor will also heavily tilt the emotional atmosphere, as the incredibly passionate Filipino tennis community will provide a vocal, electrifying contingent on the outer courts, an energy that Eala historically feeds off of, just as she did during her phenomenal run in Dubai with the diaspora support. My actual analytical assessment remains direct. I think Joic wins this match, supported by her 71.9% service consistency, superior breakpoint conversion, and deeper experience against top 10 opponents, making her the justified favorite at around -263 for a straight set or early third set victory. But this is far from routine. Eala's ceiling is high enough to trouble anyone outside the top 5, and the emotional architecture of facing someone you hugged after a doubles victory just 4 months ago introduces an unpredictable psychological strangeness that Eala, as the older player, might handle better. The scenario where Eala wins looks like this. She comes out serving with high conviction, uses lefty angles to keep Joic off balance, extends rallies to 12 or 15 shots to deny Joic quick strike opportunities, consistently targets the American's backhand wing, and captures the first set to exploit Joic's momentum struggles. Conversely, the scenario where Joic wins relies on taking the ball early from the first point, aggressively punishing Eala's vulnerable second serve with depth, keeping rallies short under 6 shots, and maintaining a high service percentage to build an unassailable structural advantage. For global fans looking to catch this highly anticipated match on Sunday, May 25th as part of the first-round action, the broadcast is available on TNT, True TV, and streaming on Max in the United States, TNT Sports and Discovery Plus in the United Kingdom, beIN Sports across Asia, with beIN Sports Asia typically carrying the full Roland Garros schedule in the Philippines alongside local listings. 9 and Stan Sports sharing rights in Australia, TISN and RDS offering coverage in Canada, and ESPN and Star Plus handling broadcast duties across Latin America. Beyond the tactics, this opening round represents a massive career crossroads for both women. Eala needs a victory to validate her intensive Nadal Academy investment and avoid entering the grass season with heavy doubts, while Joic desperately needs a clean win to erase the ghosts of her Rome match point failure and prove her game translates to Parisian clay. Both carry immense, unasked-for weight onto the court, Joic carrying the heavy expectations of American tennis and constant comparisons to Goff, and Eala carrying the literal pressure of representing 110 million Filipinos reacting to every single point across social media from Manila and Cebu to Dubai and London. Ultimately, if Eala plays at her Rome level, takes the ball with intention, moves forward, and serves with the conviction she showed against Pavlyuchanova in Madrid, she absolutely can win this match, as the gap between them is narrow enough for a single wave of momentum to completely erase. Watch the first 4 games closely. If Eala holds serve cleanly in her opening game and creates a deuce or break point on Joic's opening game, the upset is fully live. But if Joic storms through her opening service games dropping minimal points, Eala's window will shut fast. This is a spectacular matchup that has absolutely no business being a first-round draw, forcing 2 friends who shared a court months ago to find the ultimate competitive coldness to eliminate one another. And if Eala finds her peak form to survive this unforgiving arithmetic, the French Open will have just birthed its most compelling early storyline.